This is the continual evolution of the East Coast beat. It's strange at times how you feel so cool because of your awkwardness, Somebody says that really doesn't match, and you're like, yeah, but I like I like my orange and my red and my blue, or I like my blue and my green shirt with my blue jeans that just doesn't quite fit. It's too. Which one of these does not belong? And you're the kid jumping ropes while everybody else is playing volleyball. You know what I'm saying? So because there's frost on the top of the mountains, because the valley's going to basically be an even, in the 40s at night, and then tomorrow is a chance of, or tomorrow they say that it will be iced rain, so that's gonna be fun. What does it take? Okay. I try to tell people sometimes, I don't know what success is to you. I don't know what success is to the next man, and I have no idea what success is to the average 49-year-old, But as I was growing up, I knew that statistically I would either be in jail or in a mental institution or, crippled by gunfire or, dead or some dumb shit. That's just the way it goes. I'm not very, let's just say, you don't have to ask me my politics. And if you tell me my politics, I'll either simply agree or correct you in your ignorance. So, you know, like I said, I may not know how the average 49-year-old U.S. American male views and thinks and how much he makes and how much he's got in his savings accounts and how many stamps he's got in his passport. I don't know about the average man. Like I said in the very beginning, there is no equal. There's no average. I mean, one man can be a carpenter and he can live his whole life refining that craft and skill and trade, and he will be a man who's achieved a skill in carpentry. And then another man who has a skill in carpentry, they will be equal, but that is because they are separate from other men. So there is no base equality among men. Why would there be? Why would there be 9, 7, 8, 9 billion of us? Why would there be 10 of us if all 10 of us were the exact same? You know? So, in times, what does it take? There used to be a time when I could sit in freezing cold weather for hours at a time, hanging outside of a discotheque, smoking a Camel non-filter cigarette, laying back against a 400-year-old wall, waiting for a pretty girl to walk by, but they're all in the club talking to the guys that are buying them drinks. But, hey, you gotta take a breath sometimes, you know what I'm saying? Like I said, the minute I stepped into a U.S. Soldiers Club and I took my first glass back as they played Sweet Home Alabama, I knew to myself, okay, the life I had lived before as a soldier was a soldier's life. The life I live now as a soldier is a soldier's life. There are many different ways to live a soldier's life. And I will give that to every man. There are many ways to be a man. And I don't think that one's occupation or title or skill can necessarily grant them pass on certain things. I think that as men become themselves, they understand deeper concepts such as honor, and then they understand that other men also understand honor. You know, like in our youth, we're running around, just basically trying to find the answers to the. We're trying to find answers to questions, and we read through books and pamphlets and follow trails on maps and all these things to find the truth. And it told us the whole time that we were on the path. The path was the truth. It was the life. It was the experience. So as I say, I play the long game, the very long, all the way to the end. And if you keep pushing me back, I'll still go for the Hail Mary. The Hail Mary. It doesn't matter that in my life I feasted, been fattened, and starved. I've known all these things. So whether on a day I freeze and I'm eating, fried hot dogs with shredded cheese on toast, and on another day I'm sweating and I'm drinking iced coffee and eating a double cheeseburger. There are days when I'm hungry, and days where I'm thirsty, and days where I'm hot, and days where I'm tired. And in between those days and the days where I'm, laying down, falling asleep at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, as the sun, comes through the window, I have those days too, and, what can I say? I mean, to the very end, maybe that's the whole thing, is it's a struggle to the very end. Like, at one point, I've had thousands of dollars in my hand, walking around with a Hungarian girl, just drinking and eating and dancing, our young lives, content. It was night. It was a foreign country. It was all those things, and it was us. So we danced with the devil, so that 35 years later I can still remember her. After all the thousands of people that I've met in my life in between, what can I say? So in one's life, one must find meaning. Now, the sadness of it all is if the meaning leads to your destruction, do you hold on to that meaning, hoping for a rebirth, to come out of the negative? It's like, say you're too kind-hearted, you're too generous. Do you hold on to that even after you've fallen? Even after you've been destroyed? Do you hold on to the same thing that led to your destruction, hoping that the second time you would find redemption or salvation or anything? Or that the second time you would know that your choices don't always lead to destruction, that it was, a one-time event. It's a 3 out of 10 times event, it's a 50-50 shot. It's a roll of the dice. Um, you know, but after a while, maybe you get to the idea that if it's 100% destruction every time, but you somehow survive, you know, how many times you willing to take the ride? You know, how many times you willing to just lose it all and then one day find yourself sitting at the table again with a bunch of chips and a nice card and a nice hand of cards, you know, and you're thinking, hey, every other time, split them every time, double down, all or nothing, you know. I can't say that I've ever sailed across an ocean, but I've flown across one. So I've crossed an ocean, but I've never sailed an ocean. So in one's life, remember these things as one becomes a man. I've done this, you know. What's fire? That's fire. To pull the trigger on a gun is to fire. The sun is fire. You know. Certain redheads are fire. What's fire? So in a man's life, what does it take to become a man? Maybe to understand that when you meet a stranger, they want to like you and they want you to like them and they want to feel comfortable with you and they'd rather enjoy the time with you than not. I think that's, you know, and that's would be an interesting place if we would start from there, you know. And I think that mental illness is when there's a haywire in that, when you either are making it hard for people to trust you and like you, or you don't believe that people trust and like you, so you withdraw. And then when they force you to, you use your basic defensive, you know, whatever mechanisms and structures like anger or whatnot, and you push them back because you no longer believe that, you know, that you can trust, you know. So in this life, you start with what you have, and you can be conservative and try to hold on to that. You can try to 100%, you know, I have to guarantee success. I have to guarantee that I'll most likely succeed if I make this next move. You know, I can't go into it, you know, I don't gamble. Some people gamble, some people don't gamble, you know, and then, you know, some people pray, and some people who pray don't gamble, and, you know, all the way down the line. So, in this life, you must find something that you're willing to hold on to every time. Every time it fails you, every time it doesn't answer your question. If you can find something like that, and then it actually gives you strength, you know. Because if you know, if nothing else, if you know nothing more than your weakness or your weaknesses, then maybe you can find a way to outsmart even yourself, you know. The East Coast Beat.